What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Kind of Funny Gamescast for Monday, March 3rd, 2025. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the Hispanic heartthrob, Texas treat, Latino heat, clicking heads and ripping them to shreds, the globe-trotting, headshot and three-point shooting, rootin' tootin' sick at home from twitch.tv, Andy Cortez.
Hello, Greg. Hello, Blessing. Hello, Barrett. Great to see you all.
Can you say hi to the audience?
Hello, audience. How are y'all doing?
I'm more worried about you, Andy. How are you doing? You've been giving me the updates. You had to leave. You left work early last week, but you still came through and you clicked heads on the Monster Hunter stream with me and Mike for 12 hours. We love you for that. Thank you so much. But then it was up and down all weekend. I sent you a great Instagram message from the farmer's market, and I didn't get a response there. That's how I know you're sick. So I just wanted to make sure you're okay.
Well, I mean, I also kind of wanted to save it for content. I still haven't even opened that message. I'm feeling great.
It's a good one. It's a good one. I won't lie. You know what I mean?
Should I play it right now?
Sure. Play it right now, everybody.
Okay, let me play
Everybody
it right
knows
now.
that I'm always thinking of my employees.
Of course.
Okay.
And so when I'm at the farmer's market and somebody's jamming on a banjo, I got to let Andy know, man. I got to let Andy know.
Greg sent me a TikTok at 6:45 a.m. the other day.
Andy, back at the farmer's market. A lot of people talking about you nuzlocking. I'm just thinking about lip locking. Not with you. Not with you. That'd be wrong.
Leave him alone.
That'd be wrong, right? Right?
I was proud of that.
Really?
Right?
Asking for a lot of permission there.
And yeah, Forbes 30 Under 30, a.k.a. New York Game Awards nominated, a.k.a. Perry Poppy. It's Blessing Adeoye Jr. But here's my problem with you. Yeah, I sent you a TikTok last week. I'm thinking of you at 6:45 in the morning. Why no response? I texted it to you.
What's messed up is I was awake. I saw it come in, and you sent me a text I think 10 minutes later that was like, I don't care that it's before 7 a.m. I'm sending you this to you and Roger. You need to see this.
Well, it's like, I'm a dad mode. So I'm awake, I'm not thinking about it. And so I sent it, and then I like 6:45. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be texting my employees TikToks.
I don't want to set the precedent of I'm going to respond to your 6:45 a.m. text.
Fair enough. That's fair.
That's a great call.
That's a great call.
Yeah, I meant to text you back. It was a good TikTok. I did like it.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Every so often it'll go around the old social media meme rigmarole thing or whatever, maybe a wholesome thing of some CEOs sign off on their emails. They'll send emails at 9:30 at night, and it's one of those things of by the way, I know this is outside of work hours, but this is what works for me. Respond when it works for you. And so there is. I hope that's implied, especially because I'll do it where I try to schedule Slacks to everybody, but I'll do the thing where I send a Slack Saturday at 2:30. I'm like, I hope they're not looking at this going
To be fair,
they got.
I'm not texting anybody back at 6:45.
Oh, that's fine. No. I don't take it personally.
Do you do the schedule Slack thing like Andy does, where he says, "Hey, this is Andy from the past, and you're Barrett from the future.
No.
Here's these 4 assets."
I have to set the sort of scene whenever I do that.
Yeah.
Greg, I wanted to bring up how much fun I had playing Monster Hunter with you all.
Me too, man.
And how much I wanted to continue that fun on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then it really hit me on Saturday. Oh boy, it was I slept for legitimately probably over 20 hours.
God damn, dude.
Of I woke up at 9 a.m., went back to bed, woke up probably around 7 p.m., went back to bed, woke up Sunday morning. It was just out of it, man. It was a bad time, but it was a good time too.
I appreciate you want to talk so much about Expedition 33 that you're powering through today to come in and hang out with us.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, we're going to get into that and more because this is the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the biggest topics in video games, whether it be previews, reviews, or conversations we need to have. If you like that, you should be watching us live on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames, or listening on podcast services around the globe. No matter where you consume the content, please consider picking up a Kind of Funny membership. $10 gets you all of our shows ad-free, and then your daily dose of me, Greg Miller, in a one-man podcast / video cast. It usually goes on for 15 to 20 minutes where I just rant and rave in my car and talk to you. And that comes out 5 days a week, so that's an hour-long podcast a week. Wow. That's a lot of content. Wow. If you got no bucks, toss our way, no big deal. Of course, you can watch live, like I said. You can watch later. YouTube.com/kindoffunnygames, Twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames, podcast services around the globe. Like, subscribe, share, ring the bell, tell your friends, leave a review. And if you're feeling generous and you're watching live, use your YouTube super chats. Over on YouTube.com/kindoffunnygames, you can super chat to be part of the show with your questions, comments, and concerns. So get them in right now for what you want to know about Expedition 33 now that we've played the demo and are getting ready to talk about it. Housekeeping for you. You already got Kind of Funny Games Daily, all about Rockstar acquiring a brand new studio. And
Bless you.
he is sick. He's not faking it, everybody. After that, of course, after this, you're going to get Alien 3 as part of Alien vs. Predator in review. And after that, you're getting a stream of Mike and Nick in the afternoon. If you're a Kind of Funny member, my Gregway is in the process of going up. It's about how many universes I've jumped. There's more than one.
Speaking of,
yeah,
this month's premium collector's item.
Thank you very much. That came in while I was doing my thing. I forgot about that. Of course, if you wanted to go to patreon.com/kindafunny right now, you could support us at our physical tier item and get this month's premium collector item. It, of course, is a Panda Musk poster, and it is about Greg Miller, Enter the Greggyverse. And it's Panda doing all the different iterations of me he's seen throughout the years. You got Up at Noon Greg in there, Wonder Woman Greg in there. You got over there, look at that. That's G4 Greg when he was out there. You got me in my WWE era. You got that. You got, it looks like shirtless Spider-Man Miles Morales in the way back, looking very disappointed. Just disappointed at what he's saying, which I understand and I appreciate it. Of course, this is our 10th anniversary this year of Kind of Funny, and Panda Musk is doing an amazing poster each and every month. You can go to patreon.com/kindoffunny and set up there. But if you wanted to see everything that's happened so far, including, since we switched to this premium model, you could go to kindoffunny.com/premium and you would see it month by month and see the 3 posters Panda's already done for this. Of course, get in now, get this one, have a great time.
Is that Howard the Duck?
You mouse over him in the very back? Yeah. Yes. I was Howard the Duck in the Lego video game. So that's one of the Lego video games. So, yeah. I mean, that's how deep Panda Musk goes. You know what I mean? To getting all this stuff done. And I'm sorry for all the times he's had to look at me shirtless. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Delaney Twining, Carl Jacobs, and Omega Buster. Today we're brought to you by Greg Miller's live show in Chicago and BetterHelp. We'll tell you about that later. For now,
even more importantly, Greg, what's happening this Friday?
I don't know. What's happening this Friday?
Nick Lock, episode 2.
Let it go.
It's a whole new world we live in, baby. Pokemon. Johto.
It's a whole new world we live in. Pokemon Johto.
That doesn't get old.
I love that.
It's happening. Everybody get ready for it.
And so it's Johnny Ace this time going through? Is that what's happening?
It's Johnny Ace.
Johnny Ace is different than Nick, don't forget.
The Ace Man cometh.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Look, you're showing the sprites right there.
Ace Man cometh, everybody. Get ready.
That's right, everybody. We loved the Nuzlocke so much last year. We are back to do a brand new one starting on Friday with a big marathon stream of the boys doing Nick's new Nuzlocke. Come out, support that. That will only be on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames for right now. Of course, that's where the marathon streams play best, which is why, as we said, Friday's marathon stream was only on Twitch, but it will be uploaded to youtube.com/kindoffunnygames this week. That's the Monster Hunter one that Andy was a part of, that he gave his health for. And bless, I'm just saying, it's never too late to jump in with us. We're out there having a great time killing monsters. Come on.
I mean, I would like to.
Yeah.
All he needs is a little push. I know he wants to.
Well, I do want. I mean, Barrett knows, right? It's just the thing of there's too many games. I was playing Clair Obscur, Expedition 33.
What a bad name.
There's also
just call it Expedition 33.
We got used to Metaphor Refantasia.
Yeah, we did. You're right.
You know, I was also playing Redacted with Barrett.
Yeah. No, we'd say Split Fiction.
I was playing Split Fiction.
Yeah.
I got a lot to talk about. I got a lot I've been doing.
The hits don't stop here. That's what we do on the Gamescast. We cover topics of the show. We all have been playing Clair Obscur Expedition 33. If you are unfamiliar, Steam describes it like this. Lead the members of Expedition 33 on their quest to destroy the Paintress so that she can never paint death again. Explore a world of wonders inspired by Belle au Pic, France, and battle unique enemies in this turn-based RPG with real-time mechanics. The dev is Sandfall Interactive, and the publisher is Kepler Interactive. We have been watching this one for quite some time, since the original debut trailers and everything else. We have had this gorgeous thing from Sandfall, gorgeous demo from Sandfall, and we were able to jump in to a whole bunch of hours of it. Barrett, you're on the ones and twos, of course, as you always are, but you played this whole thing, right?
I played an hour and a half because, I was also dedicating any free time I could to Bless with Split Fiction. So didn't get too much time on the sticks here, but enough to, have an impression.
Blessing, you've played the whole demo?
I didn't, but I have played close to 4 hours of the game.
Okay. Andy, how much of this have you played?
I'm probably close to 3 hours, around like probably 2:45, I'd say.
And then I have played, again, coming off of Monster Hunter review, everything else, I was able to get like 45 minutes in today, an hour to it. And I'll start since then or at the end. After 45 minutes, after an hour, I'm glad that's all I got to play of this because this game's fucking special. And I don't want to play anymore until I have review code. I am not a JRPG person. I know I have had a history with them. I loved Persona 4, and then it's always in 3. It's been hit or miss for me, obviously, since then. This is a game I could see me going all the way through for a number of different reasons. But what I played today was so goddamn impressive. Like, I mean, my notes are, again, short but glowing. But I think the biggest takeaway and I think the biggest compliment I could give from the top is when I was playing this game, I finally had it click in my head to what Andy is, what you are, what Barrett is, but you guys get more spotlight for it of like, I got to learn to be Perry Poppy. Like, the counters feel too good in this game for me not to get this. This needs to be what I need to go do. So I am shocked by how much I like this. I hope they're able to stick the landing and go through this entire game this way. But from what we played, holy shit, it lives up to what I've seen. But am I wrong, Blessing?
I agree.
Okay.
I didn't finish the demo because I didn't want to play more to then take away from my like full experience with the game.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the more I played this, the more I found myself getting into the RPG systems, because I think on the top level, a thing to shout out that I at first was apprehensive about, but then was very sold on, was the amount of inspirations and influences that this game has. I've been getting ads for this game nonstop for the last like 6 months or so, right? Just on my
They know the
social
audience.
media. yeah, and I'm like, I'll see like an ad on like Twitter or whatever, and it's Expedition 33 redefining the JRPGs, and I'm like, okay, sure, I'm sure this game from a French developer is going to redefine the JRPG genre, and I'm playing it, and I'm not saying I was going to redefine anything, but as I'm playing it, I can see the Final Fantasy, I can see the Nier, but then I can also see some of the Souls, and I can see like different inspirations taken from different places that are applied in all of the correct ways to where I get to the checkpoint system, and the checkpoint system feels like a Souls checkpoint system where you get there, you can rest, and then you can also apply your skill points and stuff. And I'm like, all right, there's weapon scaling with depending on how I want to put my points into might or defense or agility or whatever it is. And I found myself so deep into those systems already in just a few hours I played, and I was like, I can't get too invested because then I'm gonna break my heart when I have to restart this whole thing again.
And we're so close. Of course, April 24th is the release date for this, and so yeah, I want to talk about that skill tree because I think that is such a big part of why I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Andy, what do you think?
I'm really, really into it so far. I think narratively, it's just kind of hitting, even though I don't fully understand a whole lot of what's happening narratively. I think having Charlie Cox and the character who's it's not Jennifer English because you meet her later on. Jennifer English played Shadowheart in Baldur's Gate, but you end up meeting her character later on. But the co-protagonist that you're kind of hanging out with.
It's Loon, played by Christy Ryder,
who I think was one of the villains in Sifu.
Oh shit!
She was
Okay,
the one with like the chain mail thing with like that shoot throw at you. Yeah.
Amazing voice performances from everybody, really. A great emotion, cool systems, and goddamn, do those parries feel meaty and they sound great. More importantly, they sound great. They look impressive. The parries are great, and then not only doing the parries, but if you don't want to parry, if you can dodge as well, that's also an option. Having that real-time action kind of built into your turn-based combat, I think just feels so active and so right. Initially, it could be a little bit overwhelming having all of these different. Hold on, let me hit the pause menu in the game right now, because immediately as you sort of hop into the game, you're thrown a lot of lingo and jargon. And
most of my notes here are just writing down systems of the game so I can we can talk about them because it is so deep.
The Pictos and the there's some other word. It's like, okay, that just means, you know, go with Elden Ring terms, your talisman or your, you know, your passives or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it can get kind of overwhelming at the start, but it immediately kind of goes away once you get into the flow of the gameplay.
And I think that's on purpose, right? Because we're being tossed into a demo, a vertical slice.
Yeah.
Like they give you a, hey, story so far, here's what's happened in the game already. Clearly we're hours into it by the time we get this.
And granted, I want to point out that, you know, Blessing said he's like close to 4 hours. I'm close to the 3 hour mark, like 245, 250. And they said that it takes 3+ hours to beat. So I'm sure we were knocking right on the door of beating this demo. It's just, Monster Hunter, man. Monster Hunter got in the way.
Hell yeah. Barrett, of course, everyone knows you as Mr. Persona. What is your take here with Expedition 33?
Yeah, and this was another one, like, every time we see this, it just feels like too ambitious of a game, especially when it was showcased at the Xbox Developer Direct, right?
Sure.
That's where
You
we
know
saw
how
it
it is.
recently.
Yeah.
And we got to see, like, how small that team is, and we really got to see a deep dive into, like, how ambitious this game really is. It was one of those, like, okay, this looks cool. How is it actually going to feel in practice? Are they actually going to land this thing in a way that actually, like, is fucking cool? And playing only an hour and a half of this demo, I walked away being like, God damn, I see the vision, and I think they're pulling it off so far. Whether they're able to pull it off for a full 30-hour campaign, we'll see. But at least from this demo, I walked away from it very positive. Like, yes, I think the main kind of Persona influence is more so just like using the face buttons to navigate your battle menus, which to me, since Persona 5 has made turn-based combat feel so active, although it's going back and forth, but then also adding in the layers of like being able to parry all of the enemy attacks or dodge the enemy attacks, which is definitely inspired by Souls games, adding in the kind of like timed attacked things that is very Mario
Paper Mario.
RPG coded and all this stuff. Go even further to make it feel even more active than like a Persona has yet, right? Which I found myself very impressed by and was constantly engaged with the battle system. And then with the world, it's very visceral. That's the thing that really took me aback with kind of the little story tidbits that we got early on, where these 33-year-olds are going on their expedition for the paintress and all this stuff. Seeing the early parts of this game of what they're dealing with, it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is such an interesting and kind of fucked up world. And that's when I think I had played it before Andy had, and I was telling Andy, like, you got to check this out because I think this world and the story is definitely for you. Whether the combat is or not, it seems like it is so far, Andy. But yeah, like, this is something special, and I'm completely impressed of just constantly being reminded how small this team is and what they're pulling off. And I'm excited to see the full game. And yeah, I'm glad I only spent an hour and a half with it because I'm ready to play the full thing in like a month and a half.
It's something I brought up during one of the presentations. I think probably after the Xbox Developer Direct, when the game looks so visually impressive, and a lot of it is, the lighting looks fantastic and everything, but what sort of benefits them the most is having this turn-based combat system where whenever you go into combat, Barrett, I'm not sure how well this will work right here if you can cut to like just a full screen of my feed.
Oh, look at that, we got it, baby.
What I want to show off real quick is just like, the game looks good in action, right? But then when you hop into combat, then they sort of set the stage for you, and it's like they have it lit in a way that's like so perfect, and it's like you're not moving the camera in these sequences, so everything's gonna look awesome here no matter what, because we are kind of in control of this. And it puts you at a really big advantage from an art perspective to kind of immediately say like, well, you're not moving the camera. We don't have a roaming time of day. So things are always going to look nice, and we're kind of in control of that. And I freaking love how they're able to like kind of, it's almost like cheating in a way, because other games, you might have, I remember us thinking back to when Halo Infinite first showed off, and it's like, well, it's a full day-night cycle, and there are times when the game isn't going to look great. But here they're like, no, we control this. Like, the game's going to look good because we want it to in this little area, and the lighting is perfect, and all of the, the amazing UI, which is very, like, Atlas coded. It looks so influenced by some of the best Atlas games that I hear Bear talk about all the time.
In the live chat, Ryan says hand-placed lighting will always be the best. And one of my notes here is just drop dead gorgeous. And I put the flex of running through this lush green forest to this dark cave and then into this red evil light. It was like back to back to back in a 10-second, you know what I mean? Of like, oh man, it's really pretty out here. Oh, it's really dark and scary and dank in here. Oh my God, it's red and horrible and evil in here. I was like, holy shit, this looks fucking amazing.
Yeah, I think even for me, one of the few critiques I had with my demo was that I think there's a lot of bloom.
Yeah.
Like there's like a lot of glowy effects where at first I was a bit put off, but as I played more, and I don't know if you guys got to like the second big section that's in the demo and like the second half of it, but you get to an environment that is way different than the first environment that you're in, that is way more like underwater vibe. Like you're walking and there's fucking like, sea life that's flying around you and shit. And legitimately I was like, oh, okay, I'm sold. Like the fact that you can go from a super like dreamy fantasy world, like fantasy environment that is more like, foresty kind of area, and then walk into something that looks equally dreamy, but still somehow,
So
just
different.
equally cool, to look at, and also so different. Was very impressed by that.
We're walking into this area, Bless, reminded me of the time that we were doing the NVIDIA sponsored stream, and I was like always telling Greg, just walk slowly to kind of look at the vistas and let the visuals soak in. And there's an amazing moment in Dragon Age Veilguard where you walk into the underwater area and a fucking whale is kind of like, underwater doing this cool thing, and Greg's just running around looting. I'm like, can you just focus on the visuals, because it looks so amazing. But I had the exact same vibe here, where being in this underwater area, it's just so freaking cool. And I'm like, but you played the demo on PC, right, Bless?
Yeah.
So
I believe we all did.
immediately
I think there was only
there's
PC
only
available.
PC
Yeah.
Okay. Immediately when I see the bloom, I go into post-processing and I go to off or like low. Because post-processing usually includes bloom and all sorts of like visual things to try to make the game look cooler. But that was really distracting for me as well. And it made the experience a lot nicer when I turned the post-processing down to like lower.
I might have to hit you up at the full game, because I was in my settings like looking for a bloom off option. Like I turned off motion blur, and I was like, this didn't do enough for me. But even still, like I think one of the things that grew on me as well as I played through the game is how much they threw at you, both like presentationally, but even within the RPG stuff, where there's so many systems in this thing.
Sure.
Every character that you have as part of your party has their own unique system of combat that like works in different ways, right? Like we had at least in my playthrough, I had 3 characters: Gustave, Loon, and Mael, right? And Gustave has like a charge system where the more you attack the enemy, the more you dodge, and the more you parry, I believe, the higher your charge goes up, and then you can use your overcharge attack at some point to deal big damage. Loon has a stain system that is element based, to where the more you do attacks to different elements, you then collect those elements in like your stain thing, and certain abilities you have will then absorb those elements, then use them to make them stronger. And then Mael has like a whole stance system that is separate from that. But the fact that you're able to like loop those in, like make those make the combat feel unique with each character, while also I think like maintaining the overall thing of like the active combat, dodging, parrying, like throwing in these attacks. I'm very impressed by it. Like it is very fun. And to Barrett's thing of, how Persona 5 felt like it was taking turn-based combat and trying to make it a bit swifter, this game feels like it's doing the natural evolution of that, of, all right, we found a way to make it swift. Now, how do we make turn-based combat almost feel like it's action combat? Yeah. And so far, it's working.
Yeah, like we haven't seen like huge, a lot of people try that since like Persona 5. Like, yeah, we've had Sea of Stars, Like a Dragon as well has made it more active, and now this game, and it's really cool to see like how these different teams, big or small, are trying to like iterate on that and try to convince the Andys of the world of like, hey, turn-based combat can be fun, it can feel active, and I think what Expedition 33 is doing so far is fucking incredible.
Yeah, the thing that stood out for me about the combat is everything you just said, right? But it was the idea of like, okay, here you can dodge, but if you want to take it to that next level, you can parry, because parrying will get you the action points. You can actually go and use it, right? That was super swift and cool, but it was then obviously the X on there. So it was having to pay attention the entire time. But I then really appreciated, there's these flags throughout the world from the previous expeditions. As you said, or I think the chat said, us as a whole said, you get to this is where you can rest and heal up. This is where you can unlock your abilities. And going into those skill trees, that was like what really, really got a hook in me of being like, oh, okay, I can go through and really make these characters act the way I want them to act in this. Whereas with Persona in the past and stuff, and, merging personas and, you unlock this new ability, you can get rid of an old ability, that kind of thing. That's similar to what we're doing here, but I felt like this gave me more of a roadmap or runway of what I was doing in a way that it felt like it gave me more control.
I mean, it's closer to Metaphor than it is Persona, I think, in that sense. Where Metaphor, I think, does a similar thing of you can kind of look down the barrel and be like, oh, this is what I'm going to build to, and I know I can mix and match my abilities however I want to make my party into what feels like an original creation by me.
Yeah.
Like this game, the same thing of looking down the skill trees, and then also just looking down my stats in general, because to Andy's point earlier, there's just so much as far as, all right, I got Pictos, which gives me a passive, but then also gives me like, some stat buffs. I have my actual staffs or stats that I can upgrade individually by putting numbers into them. And then I have my skill tree. So I'm going to have this character be very high on might and then maybe high on luck because they have a weapon that scales with that. But then I know they're going to do that. So I'm going to have my abilities be more, taking out an entire group of enemies as opposed to one enemy at a time. Or I'm going to have this person heal, or I'm going to have this person, buff this other person. They give you so many options and let you see those options. So at least in this place where we're at in the demo, and I had to stop myself from falling too into it, and I had to keep reminding myself that this is not my canon playthrough. I am going to be reviewing this game. I can't let myself get lost in this playthrough, because in the 4 hours that I played already, I'm into it. I'm looking at everything here.
And so, quick question for you, just because we're talking about like the Luminas, the Pictos, and all this stuff. It sounds like none of you had trouble equipping some of this stuff, because I don't know if my session was just bugs, it wouldn't let me, the feedback in the menus didn't seem like it was letting me equip some of these things early on. So that was something that I was like, am I missing something here?
Were you doing it from the menu, or were you trying to do it from the checkpoints?
Yeah, the flags.
Because I think in the menu you can equip Pictos, but I think to upgrade stats and equip certain abilities, you might have to be at the flag.
Correct. See, that I was doing at the flag, but I'm talking just about Luminas and Pictos, of just editing those. Do you have to be at the flag for that stuff?
Pictos, you don't have to.
Okay, yeah, it was that was getting a little bugged. So,
and then this is the skill tree I was talking about, which again, I loved being able to see where I was going. You're talking about, you bring up Metaphor, which is a far better example of this.
Yeah.
But even Metaphor, I always felt kind of overwhelmed. Where especially so over here in the chat, Pretty Dude says this menu is overwhelming. Not the skill tree, but the one we were just looking at with all the words on it stuff. I think it's important to show, when we were playing this demo, we had one. I had one defense, one to start, right?
Yeah.
It's not like this is where you start in the game, right? They're showing you how complex it can be. And then if you jump to the skill tree looked like this in the demo, where it was, all right, these two are open, these three are going to be next or whatever. So to be able to look down that, figure it out, and go character by character and see who I want to build and how I want to build, I like that a lot.
Yeah, the all of those items that you were seeing are just things that you find around in the world. Those are just additive sort of things to add to your character, where I think one of the first ones that you get is called the Dodger or something.
Yeah,
and and your character gets more AP anytime that they dodge, correctly or whatever. And then you can kind of find more. I think I have up to 5 now, where one of them is when an enemy is burning, you do such and such more critical damage or whatever. I think it's 20% higher critical damage rate. And so those are all little things that you can kind of add to your character to kind of make the experience kind of feel more like your own and kind of customizable,
100%. Before we continue, I want to remind everybody that this is the Kind of Funny Gamescast, and we couldn't do this without you. Remember, Kind of Funny is an 11-person small business all about live talk shows. If you like hanging out with us all day or catching up in your car later on, let me tell you about the Kind of Funny membership. For $10, you get all of our shows ad-free. That's more than 20 a week, and you get a daily dose of me and a 15 to 20-minute podcast I call Greg Way. If you like all of that, please consider picking up a membership on patreon.com/kindoffunny, youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, Apple or Spotify. However, right now you're not using your membership benefits, so here's a word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by me, Greg Miller. Chicago, what are you doing Thursday, April 10th at 7 p.m.? The answer? Coming to my live show. That's right, Mrs. Miller's baby boy is coming back to Chicagoland and putting on a 90-minute, one-night only show live from the Goodwin Auditorium at Benedictine University in Lisle. I'm mixing a bit of Up at Noon with a bit of my best Comic-Con performances with a lot of my Chicago influences. I'm calling it a late night with Greg Miller, and it's going to offer never-before-heard adolescent tales, an interview with one of my favorite bands of all time, a conversation with Millie Ramsey about growing up in the internet spotlight, your live questions for me, and of course, tons of fabulous video game prizes. Get your tickets now at kindoffunny.com/Chicago. And hey, Midwest people, we never do shows out there, so this is your chance to see a Greg Miller stage show. Indiana, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, we always talk about how we love to drive as Midwest people, so hit the road for an opportunity you may never get again. This is a fundraiser for Benedictine University. That's right, my childhood best friend Poe's school. So get your tickets now at kindoffunny.com/Chicago, and I'll see you on April 10th. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. It's always important for us to be aware of a relationship red flags we should avoid. But what if we focused more on looking for green flags in friends and partners? If you're not sure what they look like, therapy can help you identify green flags, actively practice them in your relationships, and embody the green flag energy yourself. Some of our best friends use BetterHelp and love how helpful it can be for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who have experienced major trauma. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule, and it serves over 5 million people worldwide. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/kindafunny to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/kindafunny, betterhelp.com/kindafunny. We're back, everybody. Still talking about Clair Obscur Expedition 33.
It's a good
Say what you
title.
want about the name.
I like the title.
It's a good name.
I like it.
Look, say what you want about the name. It could be Outlander or fucking Void Land or what. Like, there's just so many similar sounding games.
Sure.
At least this is, going the extra mile and just being too many words.
And I think we're trying to put Clair Obscur on the map.
Are
This
we?
is the
This is the
beginning.
brand?
This is the brand.
I can't wait to meet Claire.
I mean, can somebody look up?
She is the
Claire?
patroness.
Is Claire a real person? Because I assume this is a Tom Clancy scenario where like they're a writer or they're a creator.
No.
Because there's nobody named Clair Obscur in this game. So it must be a creator situation.
No,
of, like,
it is
they wrote
not.
the fiction.
No.
think so. No.
Is Clair Obscur the name of the world?
I think it's
I
like
thought-
Clair Obscur is the metaphor, and then Expedition 33 is the Refantasio.
No.
Yeah.
I thought Clair Obscur was like a state of mind, a state of being,
We're all Clair
You're so
Obscur.
Clair Obscur, yeah.
Of course, like I said at the top of the show, but to remind you, this is developed by Sandfall Interactive, published by Kepler Interactive, out April 24th, 2025. And what we didn't mention at the top, only $50 and also Xbox Game Pass day one. So
That's
not
crazy.
a bad deal out there for a game we love and that we're not alone in loving. I really loved over at IGN.com Will Borger's opener. It went like this. Years ago, a mentor told me that the most important part of any story is surprise. A few years later, a writer I deeply respect wrote that perhaps the difference between good and great writing is technique, though even that was probably not as important as conviction. But what keeps us invested in a story is curiosity, the gap between what we know and what we want to know, the questions that drive us. Combine all three, and you tend to create something special. Each and every one of us has played a video game that grabbed us from the jump, that connected with us in some unexpected way. A game that surprised us, whose belief in itself was obvious from the first frame. That made us want to explore. I've played a lot of video games, friends, and that feeling is increasingly rare for me, especially in the AAA space. So when I tell you that Clair Obscur Expedition 33 grabbed me by the throat from the jump and didn't let go for a single second of the 3.5-hour demo I played, twice, believe me when I tell you that's some powerful magic. That's fucking writing right there, Will. That is you writing your ass off. Great job over there, and what a great way to put what we're all talking about. And I think, again, perhaps the greatest show of respect from all of us. We're like, we didn't beat it on purpose.
Yeah.
Like we could go, but we don't. But you're sitting there, and I was like, in today, there's a deadline on the demo I'm playing, right? Because I'm like, all right, we're live at a little after 11. It's like 10:30, and I'm sitting there hemming and hawing over what skill. I'm like, this doesn't even matter. Why am I worried about the skill tree for a demo I'm never coming back to?
Clair Obscur is the French translation of chiaroscuro. It is a term used in art to describe a particularly strong contrast of light and dark. Thematically, it's a reference to the paintress the party is journeying to stop.
Oh, there you go. Thank you very much.
State of mind.
State of mind. It's a vibe. I like that they give you a gun. They give you a gun in the combat, and obviously, like again, this is another like Persona-ism or an Atlas-ism of, oh yeah, here's an option to shoot at your enemies. The thing that I like about the gun is that literally, like, you aim and you have to shoot at their weak point, to like do a lot of damage to them. And then some enemies are flying. Again, they take more damage, which I think also is a similar thing in the Atlas
Also,
games.
doesn't use up your turn.
No, but it uses
AP.
Yeah. But I mean, like for the like flying enemies, you can only do that. But it felt great to be able to empty my clip, take out a flying enemy that wasn't that big of a deal, then just attack the enemy that's vulnerable to physical attack, right? Like, I thought, especially even though there's so much going on in this game, like we're talking about, I think getting in here and playing it, I was surprised that I wasn't overwhelmed by the spinning plates. Where it was like, okay, I got it. Okay, I understand. Okay, this is great. This feels good. Oh, I should have done that, but I screwed this up. But I was so happy with
the
how
spinning
this
plates
felt.
feel fun. Like I mean, even in status effect type stuff, where early on they give you a burn in this demo, you can burn your enemies. And I like the fact that instead of taking place at the end of an enemy's turn, like the burn takes place at the beginning. So it is the thing of, all right, I know they're weak. I'm going to do an attack that's going to burn them. So by the time it gets to their turn, they won't even be able to do their attack because they're going to die at the beginning of their turn. And like having to strategize in these different ways work. One thing that Andy brought up during the break is the fact that like there's also a jump button in combat where at some point they introduce like these sweeping attacks, these big sweeping attacks that enemies will do. And if you time a jump at the right time, you can jump and then shoot back at them in midair. And it's sick as fuck. Like, again, a lot of really, I think, smart things on the gameplay side that shows that they understand RPGs and they understand JRPGs. But then also just a lot of flair, which, I mean, I'm just very impressed. I think it's rare to see those two married so well. Like, I think it is in the Atlas games that you get something like that, or maybe like a Final Fantasy or whatever. To see a French developer be like, okay, we're going to take this on and do it so well so far in the demo. I'm impressed.
Over here in the chat, before it goes away, sorry, in the YouTube chat, SG17 says, but if it sells poorly, it'll either end up on deep sale or PlayStation Plus in the next 3 months, like Veilguard and Immortals. I don't think you have to be concerned about that. I think you're talking about Veilguard specifically, right? Being from a gigantic publisher, a gigantic developer, and took a gigantic amount of time, where I think expectations were far different for that one than there are for this one, coming from a small French developer put out by Kepler, who isn't the biggest name in games, so makes good stuff. Like, I think they have the thing right, and I think the reaction you're seeing today, as long as this game doesn't fall apart immediately after this or before it, this game is going to find an audience real quick and be a darling, I think.
100%. I wanted to bring up near the beginning of the demo, you're immediately sort of shown a way to grapple towards little places in little platforms, little things in the world, and your controller vibrates and you can like grapple towards this new platform, and now your characters are walking over there. And it's kind of a small nitpick, but I hope it's not just grappling for the sake of making traversal flashier. Like, I hope that that's more of a Metroidvania type thing, where maybe at some point in the game you didn't have the ability to grapple towards those things, and now you do. Because as cool and flashy as it looks, it's like, okay, well, this does nothing for me mechanically that's different than walking or running. It looks cooler, sure, but I hope that there are parts where maybe I don't have access to the grapple, and then finally when I have the grapple as an ability, then I can go back to certain parts of this really cool overworld map to go back and explore. Because otherwise, it just feels like, is it style over substance?
Do you think you're going to get that though? Because like playing through this felt very much like, oh, cool. This is a linear game that I'm going. There's side, shoot off to the side, get the glowy purple, shoot over here, use your grappling. But like we're being funneled. It doesn't strike me as a game I'm going to double back in Metroidvania in.
I think you're being. I mean, I think the fact that there's a big open world,
like an overworld,
the overworld map. I think that indicates that there will be a lot more exploration than we think that there will be.
Okay.
I think it'll get pathy as well. I was surprised to see further on in my demo they had like in God of War, either 2018 or Ragnarok, where they have like the chests that you have to hit the 3 things to open.
That was on both of them.
Yeah, they have that in this game as well, where it's like you have to shoot the 3 things with your gun.
Call Corey Barlog right now. Start the lawsuit. I'll do it.
And again, like great inspirations and influences from great places. I like that mechanic in God of War, and to see it here, I was like, okay, cool. Like that's another layer added to exploration on top of just the chest that you're opening, right? Or like whatever you're doing. I think the fact that you have an overworld probably means that you're going to be doubling back to certain locations. Cool. But I think my hope is that when you go back to certain locations, things will be different, right? Like you're going to have more tougher enemies, or maybe like some paths change, or maybe you have a new ability. I guess the big hope is that you have a new ability that allows you to get to certain places that you weren't able to before. But I think that is almost like the max that you can do, because then you are getting to Metroidvania vibes of, all right, well, that's not what this game is. It's a JRPG kind of thing. But if you're going to have an overworld like this, I think you got to make it so that you are exploring.
There's reason to come back and explore and stuff.
The big elephant in the room we haven't addressed, of course, is we're talking about these playable characters. We're talking about an amazing cast list, of course. As you already said, Jennifer English, Baldur's Gate, Elden Ring, Christy Ryder, The Sandman, and Sifu, like you were saying, Barrett. Then you have Andy Serkis, of course, Nick's mortal enemy. Ben Starr, of course, my mortal enemy. But Charlie Cox playing Gustav.
Charlie Cox playing Robert Pattinson.
Yes, Charlie Cox playing
and
Robert
the elephant
Pattinson.
in the room is, why did they make this man look exactly like Robert Pattinson?
I was joking with Andy that it felt like they might have been in talks with Robert Pattinson early on.
Not even early on, like full glove. It's a handshake deal. We haven't signed the contract. Don't worry about
it. They were just
still hoping he'd
so
be here.
dedicated to it, and then that fell through because he decided to go make Mickey 17, and they're like, fuck.
Yeah, he was like, I love Final Fantasy. I love, he talks about how he was in love with Tifa as a child and stuff. It's like, we all know those stories of Robert Pattinson. He was definitely in this game. There's no way. This guy looks exactly like him.
I thought I was crazy. I had to look it up. I was like, did I miss Robert Pattinson in the trailer? Because why is this man just Robert Pattinson?
It's just Robert Pattinson from The Lighthouse. It's so weird. But Charlie Cox, very good.
Of course.
Amazing.
Daredevil, you can do no wrong. Don't worry about that. What I liked about Gustav, and this is an early point, but it was one of those, like, you're looking at this game, especially for where we're at, for endearing things or whatever, and like, for me, it's about connection to the characters and yada yada. I think the plot line in general is so cool, right? Of, again, you have the paintress who's coming through and killing everybody at a certain age. So all the 34-year-olds die in the story so far clip we see, and then of course 33's numbers up to go out and try to stop her. I appreciated when they got there and all hell breaks loose and you get the whole thing and da-da-da. There's a million people talking about like more of the story part of there. But what was cool from what we saw in the story so far, you play a bit and then you get to where you're just finding all these expedition members just murdered, right? Killed, all this stuff. And the character Gustav collapses in front of one of them and brings up his gun from combat and puts it to his head. And I was like, God damn, that's a real fucking moment, right?
Yeah.
I'm always talking about killing myself if shit went sideways like this. Yeah.
It's visceral. And then like 10 minutes later, you get into like your first kind of like entry level boss fight where you see that boss like fuck up one of your expedition people, and it's really fascinating like how much they're gonna try to get us invested in some of these characters and immediately kill a bunch of people off.
The first note I put in my notes was based off of the previously on that starts off the preview where they show you like a bunch of stuff that was in the trailer, right? But like one of the things was somebody just fucking getting just slashed
and their head falls off.
Yeah,
like,
and I was like, holy shit! Like this seems really cool.
Yeah, 100%. They're cooking over here, and I'm like,
music is fantastic as well.
Music is good.
Yes.
It's very operatic during the during battle. Can get a little samey when you're kind of just running around, but that's most games when you're just kind of running around and adventuring.
I do like how it feels like there are different genres that they're exploring there as well. Because when I got to that second big area and like I get into combat, there's like more of like a chill vibe to the music where I'm like, yo, I'm kind of digging it. Like I'm really curious to see when we get that final game how varied the soundtrack is, because yeah, I like what they're offering so far, even though there wasn't anything like big and bombastic, but that also just doesn't seem like the vibe they're going for with it.
Yeah, I agree.
One of the things we didn't touch on that was a point for me that I was like, oh, this is Greg Miller kind of shit, was going through and there's this whole thing of picking up the journals of the previous expeditions and learning from the ones that came before to kind of, the whole idea here is that you're, even people who die, you're passing the baton. So learn from the ones who came before and then leave something for the ones that will come after so they can do this. But then they're audio journals, so you collect when you get to listen in. I was like, oh, the performance was great. And the one I found, I'm like, I want to see this through.
I want to shout out design,
Please.
like character design specifically. I think the character outfits look fucking dope on all the party members that you're playing with, but the enemy design is so like weird and cool. It's tough to get me to fight like enemies in a game that don't have faces. I know that's a weird
You want to
thing.
fucking see these motherfuckers.
Yeah. It's like such a weird thing where I'm looking at first I'm looking at these enemies and I'm like, all right, I'm fighting just a rock creature. Like, I wish you had 2 eyes and mouth or some shit. Give me some personality. But like,
Fuck up this guy's mouth.
the more I'm fighting like these different enemies and these different creatures, the more I'm like, damn, who the fuck thought of this shit, right? Like, it is just I don't know, like just cool ass designs.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Yeah, and again, I like the different size stuff. I like the idea of like the ones that come up and slam their shield down and it goes off.
Yeah.
And then again, how satisfying it is to hit the parry and just throw it back at them and fucking kill them and shit like that. That was awesome. Like we're talking about the guys who have the light for their head basically that you pop then to get the thing off of there. Oh, this is some
That's
good
Robert
outfit.
Pattinson, bro.
It's just him, man. It's crazy.
him.
It's just Robert Pattinson. Like, there's no way that it's not. It's unbelievable how uncanny it is to being Robert Pattinson.
We'll figure it out one
Look
day.
at him, dude. He's a handsome
Like,
guy, though.
I'll
Handsome
say
fella.
they're so dripped out. Look at that.
Yeah, well, I upgraded his outfit to have that like one wing thing. It looks so cool.
Yeah.
He's the one wing angel. Tim's always
That looks
talking
sick
about
as
him.
hell.
We had a lot of people write in for super chats, but no super chat questions. First, we'll start by booing AK, who writes in and says, French JRPG equals RP
I don't like it.
RP Wii.
RP Wii.
It was good enough that I clipped it out and put it on social media, but still. I was like, ooh, you got me. CJ Splits on says, shout out to Ben Starr's agenty. He's killing it. Did you guys run into Ben Starr? I didn't play deep enough to find.
No.
Verso is what the character's name is, according to our little guide here.
I don't recall.
Okay.
I have not. No.
Jordan White wrote in and said, since this game was announced, no other game has excited me more. With Avowed, Expedition 33, Outer Worlds 2, and eventually Fable, it's a great time to be an Xbox RPG fan.
Yeah.
100%.
It's crazy. For
Game
being
Pass is a great
Pass.
pickup for this one. Yeah, a great pickup for this one for sure. And again, I'm just excited to see what looks to be a game that's going to have a great story because I'm super into the premise of this. I love this idea, right? And then have it just be 30 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
Like be a turn-based RPG that I can see like, oh, I can actually commit to beating this and beating
Did they
through it.
say that it's going to be 30 hours? Is that like a development?
A quick
developer
Google
quote?
found that. I would assume that that's true, but I can try it again for you.
Once I
while
started
you-
looking at those stats, I was like, ooh, I wonder if I wonder if this is the thing where they say 30 hours and like we come out of it being like that shit was 50 hours long.
Yeah. The Googles I'm finding are 30 plus. Yeah, is what people are saying. But I don't know where they're getting
this
it.
comes directly from
Thank you.
their X account. It says, to be clear, we poured all of our hearts and souls into this game. When you play Expedition 33, you can expect 30 plus hours of main game and as much side content for our completionist expeditioners. And that was back in October.
I don't like that plus word. That plus word
Well,
makes
just
me
don't
nervous.
do it. Just don't go off and do every side thing. Trevor super chatted while we were going and said was interested, but now quite excited for this game. 2 questions. Number 1, how well did the demo run? Number 2, even though y'all didn't start at the beginning, did the demo do a good job of introducing combat and other systems at play? Andy Cortez, you have the visual triangle. You know it well. You sold merch about it for us. You are the one who we always throw at the NVIDIA streams to tell us why games look good. How did this game look for you?
The game looks like it still needs some more work. Because there were a decent amount of like visual hitches and frame rate kind of drops, but I'm still impressed with where it's at. Like I guess I'm just impressed that this game is running at all based on what we've seen. This game always just looked like it's a small developer, and holy shit, this looks really ambitious. I don't know if we've heard this song before so many times with small developers, but I think it looks awesome in action still. I think like once the game comes out, hopefully it comes with all the bells and whistles like the DLSS and for the AMD fans out there, getting FSR running, getting anything to help, because right now it currently has just the resolution scaler where if you're kind of having trouble running the game, you can drop the resolution down to like 75%. So it'll go down and help the game run better at a lower res.
Sure.
But it doesn't have any like AI upscaling or anything like that. So hopefully when the game launches, it'll come with a lot of those bells and whistles, because that happens with a lot of games. A lot of previews don't have everything, don't have their sort of options fully kitted out.
The other thing I noticed too is like in gameplay, things really started to pop and like look smooth and stuff. I was noting a lot of weird like frame drops and stuff like that in cutscenes, which I don't know if they're pre-rendered or not, Andy. I couldn't tell, but like it says like you can have like your custom outfits in cutscenes, so I don't think they are, but that was where I was seeing a lot of like, oof, okay. This is
Yeah, I noticed that too. I'm not sure. I was wondering if they were pre-rendered or not as well, because the cutscenes immediately started. It's like, okay, what you were watching now, it's 30 frames per second with a shitload of film grain.
Yeah.
So it always looked pre-rendered to me, but I'm not exactly sure.
To answer the second part of that SuperChats question, one of the things that impresses me the most about this demo is how well it's just done as a demo, where you start off and one of the first NPCs you run into is literally says, "Hey, I'm an NPC that's for this demo," and basically that NPC, you have the choice of jumping into tutorial straight from that NPC to teach you the battle mechanics before they throw you back into that chapter that we're on.
Yeah,
and like that's like an extra piece of work to do to like for a demo that you usually don't see. Like I don't remember seeing a demo that has that of like, oh, here's a specific piece just to teach people like the press play in this game how to play this game real quick before doing it. So shout out to that, and then also shout out to like just how easy this was of hey, here's a code, we're gonna let you redeem this preview on Steam, play at your leisure. We have up to, it says 3+ hours, right? But like I played for 4 hours or something like that and still kept going. And yeah, like we were able to play it at our leisure for this preview.
Yeah,
really well done.
Real quick in the chat, WolfFox10JC says Nick is roasting Andy on Instagram, and yeah, the Kind of Funny Vids account on Instagram is live while Nick is just making fun of Andy. So that's upsetting.
What?
Sorry about that, buddy. Oh, they just ended the stream, but they were.
Yeah, I can't see.
They were zooming in on your face, and Nick had the football, so it was bad. And I could hear him laughing out there. I didn't really think they make content about you.
What does he do?
I don't know.
It's a great
What does
question.
he do?
It's a good question.
You know what I mean? That's a great question. I think he's really trying to work his way through the outer worlds right now.
Outer wilds.
Outer wilds.
Outer
right now.
wilds.
He's got his finger on the pulse. You know what I mean?
He's liking Avowed, though. I know that.
Yeah, that's true. He had to watch Alien 3. So that's what he's doing.
Hard life.
Any closing thoughts about Expedition 33? Blessing.
I think it's shaping up to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, totally.
I think it's shaping up to be a game that looks like it can hopefully deliver on the promise of just looking like this, really gorgeous, but also awesome storytelling wise. I hope it can kind of, deliver there.
Wasted Bandwidth asks you, Andy, is it a contender?
I'm gonna say no for now.
Ooh.
I think it's too early to say. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think it's too early to say.
Like again, off this demo, yeah, I'm feeling the high. But again, let's see if they can uphold this for 30 hours and keep it engaging in both world story and gameplay.
I'm gonna be bold and say, yeah, I think this is a contender for me, which is shocking.
Yeah.
But I can't, like, if we had code right now, it would be toss a lot of things to the side right now. Say goodbye to Ben, go to boarding school. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I'm
wow.
gonna
Yeah.
play
Boarding
this.
school.
You got to do it. You got to get in there. And again, like, if I can sit there, what I'm really interested in, and what I didn't see in this game, because I didn't feel like I was playing on normal difficulty, so I didn't. And granted, I was very early, so I didn't die in the section I was playing. I'm interested to see how they restart where checkpoints are, because again, like, I want to right now, bullishly, on Monday, March 3rd, 2025, I want to commit to being Perry Poppy in this. Because it feels so fucking good to throw the attack back in their fucking faces.
Yeah.
And in one of the clips we showed from one of the trailers, you saw the entire team parry and throw it back at the boss. I'm like, oh my God, like, I want that. But I'm not that person, but I want that in this game. So let me see if I commit to that or end up turning down the difficulty. But I'm super excited and juiced for this one, bless.
Yeah, I think The Office is going to be liking this one a lot. Like I'm sad that Tim isn't on this preview because
Sure.
this strikes
Stubs
me
his
as
toe.
this strikes me as like very much like a Tim type of game, knowing how much he loves Final Fantasy and like how much style is in this and how
Yeah.
fun the combat is here. Like I think this is one that is uniquely tailored to possibly all of our tastes here. And coming out of this, like I'm with you guys that I think it's early for me to say contender, but like the projections for me are looking up. Like if I'm doing the what do they call it? Not the rankings. When you're doing like projections on like the financial shit, whatever, it's looking up for this game.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean.
Like stocks.
The stocks. Yes, thank you. Yeah, the stocks in this game are looking up
Yeah.
right now for me.
Yeah, it's now most anticipated for sure.
Exactly.
Nice, Barrett. All right. Well, ladies, gentlemen, and MBs, we won't have to wait long, of course. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is coming out April 24th, 2025, meaning that we'll be covering it a lot more here on Kinda Funny Games. If you didn't know, we are all about live talk shows, usually about video games, so you can catch us when we're yapping over on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames, youtube.com/kindafunnygames, podcast services around the globe. No matter where you get the Kinda Funny Games cast, please consider picking up the Kinda Funny membership. $10 gets you all of our shows ad-free and a daily dose of me in a series we call Gregway. Of course, this is just the halfway point of our day. We are far from done with shows. Right after this, we are moving over to do the review. That's right, Alien 3 in review, as we continue Alien vs. Predator in review. And then, of course, there will be the stream of Mike and Nick in the afternoon. For now, though, that's the end of the Gamescast. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.